50 and verse 10, and it asks a question: Who is among you that feareth the Lord, that obeyeth the voice of his servant, that walketh in darkness and hath no light? Let him trust in the name of the Lord and stay upon his God. What a wonderful verse that is, and it really, I think, addresses many today who are God-fearing people that are walking in the fear of the Lord, which means to have a reverence for who God is and for God's commandments, but not only are having a reverence for his commands, but are obeying his commands. So this verse is addressing people who are walking in the fear of God, who are obeying the voice of God, but yet they find themselves plunged into a time of darkness in their life. And that darkness could be many things. It could be health. It could be a time of financial struggle. It could be a time of problems in your family, whether it's your marriage or your children. But a very, very dark time that someone is plunged into in their life. It's kind of like the sun seems like it's set in your life, and maybe you feel like the sun isn't going to come back up again, or maybe you feel like you're entering into a dark tunnel and you feel like there's never going to be light at the other end of that tunnel. And God is addressing this, I think, in our lives. And he says, when these dark times come and you are a God-fearing person and you are trying your best to obey the voice of God and you can't see what is really happening around you, what should you do? And God says from this passage in Isaiah chapter 50 and verse 10, he says that we are to trust in the name of the Lord. That is, we're to trust God. We're to look to God in these times. We're not to look at our circumstances. We're not to look at all the things that could be depressing us in this time of darkness in our life, but we're to trust in God. Look to the Lord. Look to him. Remember his name. And I love that because when we think about who God is, it brings comfort to us. And we think about all the different attributes of God. We think about his love. We think about his mercy. We think about his grace, his patience, his long suffering. We think about the promises in the Word of God that God has given to us, that he will never leave us and he will never, ever forsake us, that all things work together for good to those who love God and are the called according to his purposes. So first we are to trust in the Lord. And then it says to stay upon his God. That word stay is a very interesting word. It means to lean upon. We're to lean upon God in these times, not lean on something else. God is a God who is bigger than any problem you're facing, whether it's in your marriage, whether it's finances, or whether it's some other situation in your life, health-wise or whatever. God is bigger than that situation. He is a God whom we can lean upon. When you don't feel like you can lean upon anything else, you can lean upon God. Now, to go along with that verse, I love Isaiah chapter 26 and verse 3, which God gives us this promise. He says, I will keep you, and that word keep means to keep on keeping you, in perfect peace, shalom, shalom, whose mind is stayed on thee because he trusteth in thee. God said, you want perfect peace in your life? You can have infinite, endless peace, perfect peace. I will keep you in perfect peace. That word perfect is also shalom. So shalom, shalom, peace, peace, whose mind is stayed on thee. That word stayed, just like in Isaiah 50 and verse 10, comes back where that we keep our mind leaning on God. We keep our mind thinking on God and who God is and his promises in the Word of God. Because it says at the end of Isaiah 26:3, because we trust you. And in a world that's turning upside down, in a world that's becoming more and more secular every day, in a world where that things seem like they're so tumultuous and we don't know what maybe tomorrow looks like, we can trust God. He is sovereign. Nothing is out of his control and nothing catches him by surprise. I hope that you'll be encouraged by these words. I hope this week and the weeks to come that you'll maybe go to these verses in times of darkness when you feel like you're being plunged into darkness and you're wondering what to do. I hope you'll remember the verse, especially I gave you in Isaiah chapter 50 and verse 10, where God says, "Who is among you that feareth the Lord, that obeyeth the voice of his servant, that walketh in darkness and has no light?" The lights have gone out for you, but you're walking in darkness. He says, let him trust in the name of the Lord and stay upon his God. God's promises are so comforting. God's promises are true. You can look to the Lord in these times, and you can lean on the Lord in these times. God bless you. I just wanted to share with you a few minutes today. I hope this has been an encouragement to you.